Hello everybody, welcome back. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. Today's book is Lies by T M Logan. This is another author, but I realised that they've made it onto my favourites list without me knowing. I have read a lot of T M Logan. I greatly enjoy his books. What if your whole life was based on lies? There you go. So you got a shot of a guy and at the top of the stairs with his son. I did this in like one day. Let's just read that blurb for you and then I'll let you know what happened here. Joe Lynch is just an ordinarily happily married man until one split-second decision throws his life into crisis. When Joe sees his wife having a confrontation with family friend Ben, it's the first hint that she's been lying to him about everything. And when he steps in to protect her, a harmless shove knocks Ben to the ground and he's not moving. 320 pages in crime, thriller and psychological fiction. When I tell you I couldn't put this down, I couldn't put it down. I did the first couple of chapters. I finished this yesterday and I started it the day before. I could not put this down. I started it in bed, did a couple of chapters, went to bed. Next day I had work, which was yesterday. So I did a couple of sneaky looking at it between guests when I wasn't busy. And then I just sat on the sofa when I got home, didn't move until about 10:30. And I got home from work at like just before 8 because I was on the 7:30 finish last night. It is so fast paced, this book. You start off at the beginning. Joe has picked his kid up from school, they're in the car, and on the other side of the road, little boy goes, "Isn't that Mummy's car?" Or a mummy-like car. And Joe looks over and goes, "Yeah, it does look like Mummy's car, doesn't it?" And then he looks at the number plate and realises it is his wife's car. And the little boy's there going, "Oh, can we go see Mummy? Can we go see Mummy?" So he's just like, "Oh, fine, you know what, let's go see Mummy." So he turns round, he follows the car to a budget hotel where Joe sees his wife with family friend Ben having an argument in the lobby. And so he's just like, "Oh, I won't interrupt them then because something's happening here." And then he goes back, because he goes in with the son at first. He's quite young, he's like 4 or 5 I think. Yeah, so he takes the son in, they see Mummy in the lobby arguing with Ben, they're just like, "Oh, I won't interrupt them, let's go back to the car, we'll see her when she comes back," because he has seen his wife's car in the car park, in the underground car park, and says, "Just let's go back to the car, we'll wait for her there." When she does come back, she is so angry and blindsided that she doesn't even notice that her husband and her son are in his car in the car park. She gets into her own car and she runs away. And so he's getting ready to go home when Ben, the family friend, comes into the car park. And so Joe goes to Ben, "Hiya, I just came to pop in and just say hi to my wife, like what's going on?" Ben has a proper go at Joe, like telling him that like he's like not worthy and all this sort of stuff, and Joe has no idea what's going on here. But when Ben shoves him, he shoves back, and Ben falls to the concrete ground. There's a bit of bleeding happening out of an ear, and Joe goes into, "Oh my god, what just happened?" And then he realises that his son is having an asthma attack, and he's just like, "I don't know what to do here." He tries to find the asthma pump for his son in the car, realises it's not there, and he's just like, "I don't know what to do." Normal people would go, okay, 999 for 2 people essentially at that point. I'd say, look, there's a guy on the ground, he's bleeding, and also my son is having an asthma attack and I don't have an inhaler. Can you please send somebody very, very quickly? That's what I do. Joe doesn't do that. He decides to drive home, keep an eye out for pharmacy. He drives home to get the inhaler for his son, then goes later back to the car park to find out that Ben and his car are gone. And yeah, that's the moment that changes Joe's life completely. For essentially following his wife's car when the son goes, "That's Mummy's car." Oh, it was so good, but also it's one of those really frustrating books because Joe does everything right, but everything still goes wrong. There were so many points when I was just like, as more things come out and you find out that Ben appears to be sort of gone missing, yet seems to be taunting Joe, like text messages, and there's a point when there's a message on his computer where his computer gets hacked, and he's just like, this is Ben to a T. Ben is very technical, he's like a very rich man, he's in tech and all this sort of stuff, so Joe is completely in the dark as to what the hell is going on, and yeah, you're just following the events after this moment, which just everything falls apart. And to the point where Joe is accused of Ben's murder. But Joe is there going, but he's been messaging me. He put a message on his Facebook saying that he needed to get away. Why are you treating this as a murder? And they're just like, oh, well, we've checked, like, the messages and things, and we've checked all the connections, everything. It's like, everything seems to be happening really close to you, so that's why we're accusing you. And it's just like, you've got a toddler, but he speaks quite well. Why is nobody talking to the kid? That is the main thing that got me from this whole story. The police never speak to the child, because he is the alibi for the whole thing. Joe was in the car park. He followed his wife's car because his son asked him to. His son was in the car park when he shoved Ben. Joe is very upfront about the fact that at first his wife lies and says that he dented Ben's car. And then, when they're asked to take in statements, Joe continues the lie that he hit Ben's car, when actually it was a lie to the wife, to Ben's wife. It sounds really complicated. I'm making this more complicated than it is. So, Joe's wife lies to Ben's wife about the confrontation. When they're called into the police to talk about the fact that Ben is missing, Joe continues the lie, not realising that his wife is now sticking to the right story, which is tell the truth and nothing but the truth, or so help me God. That's him getting off on the wrong foot with the police, because he tells the wrong event thinking, what is my wife going to say? After that, he's just like, I'm really sorry, like, it was stupid to lie about it. Yes, there was a small confrontation. He hit me. Because he's half my size, I just gave him a quick shove, and then he collapsed to the floor. And he's very honest about everything that happened in that car park. He's there going, yes, there was a confrontation. Yes, I did leave him here, but it was because my son was having an asthma attack, and in that moment, my brain went to the kid. And then everything after that is used against him. Again, I was just there in the thing of just like, why is nobody talking to the kid? Like, hey, kid, what happened? You know, when you went to the car park, what happened? If they just talked to the kid and said, who says, I had a really bad asthma attack, and I didn't have my inhaler, and my daddy helped me go find an inhaler. That's all they wouldn't have needed to hear from the kid to go, oh, maybe we need to look at other lines of inquiry. Cameras, like, don't work, pointed in the wrong direction, all of that is explained away. And then any time that Ben taunts Joe, whether it's through text messages, Facebook messages, because in the car park, Joe uses his phone. He uses his phone and a leather bracelet that he wears. And when he goes back, his phone and his bracelet aren't there, as well as Ben and Ben's car. And then, a couple of days later, he notices that he has he has quite a few Facebook notifications. He's like, well, I'm never on Facebook, what's going on here? And he realises that someone has his phone, and there's a picture of the car park of Ben's bracelet. And so he's just there going, oh, did Ben take everything? And why is Ben appear to be taunting me on my own Facebook accounts? This must sound so messy, me trying to describe what happens in this book. I'm not going to go too far down it, because that would really go to spoiler territory. But when Joe is accused of Ben's murder, it affects his job. They're just like, I'm sorry, you're involved in this missing person thing, this is not a good look for the school, we're going to suspend you, you're going to be on full pay, but we can't have you in the building, because there's a picture of you going round on social media of you in handcuffs. And Joe's there going, no, that was a voluntary talk with the police about my missing friend. The handcuffs on me on that picture have been doctored in. That's not a real photo. And the school just like, we don't care. At this point, you have been seen with the police, and this is not a good look. A lot of people have seen this photo now because it's been tagged to the school. And so the school are just like, look, you're still going to be on full pay, we just can't have you working with the kids while this is all going on. So yeah, Joe just goes into investigating everything himself, because he's just like, the police are just going down this missing route, murder without a body situation, and Joe's there going, if nobody else is going to actually focus on trying to find Ben, considering the messages I'm getting, I'm going to go find it myself. I'm going to prove that Ben is still alive. So then that's just the rest of the book. You see Joe going through the book doing what the police should be doing. Joe has been upfront about everything from the beginning. You feel so frustrated for him. I felt frustrated that there was not one talk with the child about his asthma attack, and that they just go straight into, I mean, the only thing that probably would have given a foolproof alibi is if Joe had gone to the hospital with his son, or he'd stayed in the car park and called 999 and said, my son is having an asthma attack and there's a guy on the ground bleeding. That would be the only situations in which he would have been provided an alibi. But because he took his son home to get the asthma inhaler, that is what set everything else off in motion. And all because he followed his wife's car into a hotel car park. It says master of the up all night thriller, and yeah, as I said, you know, I think I went to bed at 10:30, 11:15 last night. I sat on the sofa from 8 o'clock to 10:30. That is how long I sat on the sofa reading this book. I could not put it down. I was frustrated. At points when I wanted to throw my iPad across the room, because it was just like, why? And then when everything does come out and you find out what's going on, and you're just like, oh my god. I wanted to go back and read the beginning. It was just like, was there any sign of this? Admittedly, there were points when I did wonder about the wife, because there were points when it was just like, why is she being so amenable? Because he finds out information about his wife that he's not happy about. He finds out that there was a bit of a relationship between his wife and Ben, and the way his wife is after everything, it was just like, there's something about this whole situation that isn't sitting right with me, which did come to the end a little bit, but I missed the mark so far. I really didn't see it coming, and to be honest, I don't really think the hints were there anyway, because Joe is completely in the dark, and when everything comes out at the end, they say about how in the dark he is, and how easy it was to manipulate the situation. And I'm just there going, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. It was so good, it was so twisty, it was so frustrating when you're just there going, why aren't you not talking to the kid? Yeah, one conversation with the kid could have fixed everything, I think. Well, not fixed everything, but it would have given him an alibi. Because, like, it's just like, yeah, you did go home, you got his inhaler. Just so good. If you like your twisty turnies, if you like T M Logan, he's definitely up there as a favourite author for me. Between T M Logan and Leanne Moriarty, bloody hell. It doesn't look like there's... Oh, The Dream Home. That's the next one. Yeah, so at this point I'm all caught up on my T M Logan books. The next one is The Dream Home, which comes out on audiobook for me on the 16th of August. I think that's just probably just based on like reserves and things for it, but there's only so many copies of it on the server, I believe, and that is why you have to wait for things. It probably has to do with like how the app works with like the publishers and things. I don't really understand it all. As evidence of the fact that I did it in like less than 24 hours, the whole book tells you how good it was. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Hello to the newbies, it's been very nice to see you. And yeah, I'll see you Sunday for a series Sunday video. Stay safe. Goodbye, love you all.